People say fat is dangerous, slim is safe, but that's completely wrong. Internal fat, the kind you cannot see, is the most dangerous of all. It wraps around your vital organs like the heart, liver, and kidneys, silently causing damage without any warning signs. This hidden fat is the real reason for high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease, even in people who look perfectly fit. Today, I'll show you how this silent enemy grows and how you can protect yourself before it's too late. Watch closely, because this one truth might completely change your life.
Most people believe that health is something you can judge with your eyes. If a person looks slim, wears smaller clothes, and doesn't have a visible belly, we automatically assume that person is healthy. From childhood, we are trained to think that fat equals unhealthy and thin equals fit. This belief is so deeply rooted in our minds that we rarely question it. But the truth is, the mirror can lie, and relying on appearance alone can be one of the most dangerous mistakes when it comes to health. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you only see the surface of your body. You see skin, shape, posture, and size. What you do not see is what is happening inside. You cannot see how your organs are functioning, how much fat is wrapped around your liver or heart, or how your hormones are behaving. Yet most people make all their health judgments based on this one visual check. If the mirror looks fine, they feel safe. If the mirror looks bad, they panic. This way of thinking has caused countless people to ignore serious health risks simply because they didn't look unhealthy. There are many people who are naturally slim or have fast metabolism. They eat irregularly, sleep late, sit for long hours, and live under constant stress, yet their body weight stays within a normal range. Because of this, they never feel the need to worry about their health. They don't exercise seriously, they don't pay attention to food quality, and they rarely get medical tests done. In their mind, being slim is proof that everything is fine. But inside their body, fat can still be accumulating silently around vital organs, slowly increasing the risk of serious diseases. At the same time, there are people who are visibly overweight but still physically active. They walk regularly, move their body, eat home-cooked food, and manage stress better. Their weight may be higher, but their internal health markers like blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure may be within acceptable limits. Yet society labels them as unhealthy just because of how they look. This shows how unreliable appearance is as a measure of health. The biggest problem with judging health by looks is that it creates a false sense of security. When someone looks slim, they assume they're safe, so they continue unhealthy habits without guilt. Late-night eating feels harmless because the body doesn't show it. Excess sugar doesn't feel dangerous because weight doesn't increase. Long sitting hours don't feel risky because clothes still fit. Over time, this false security allows internal damage to grow unchecked. Health is not just about body size. It is about how your body systems work together. It is about how your body handles sugar, how your heart pumps blood, how your liver processes fat, and how your hormones stay balanced. None of these things can be seen in a mirror. You can look perfectly fine and still have insulin resistance. You can look fit and still have fatty liver. You can look slim and still be at risk of heart disease. Appearance does not protect you from internal dysfunction. Social media has made this problem even worse. We constantly see images of lean bodies, flat stomachs, and fit-looking people, and we associate that look with health and success. Many people chase this look instead of real health. They focus on weight loss at any cost, sometimes even starving themselves, while ignoring sleep, nutrition quality, and mental well-being. Others who naturally look slim feel no pressure to improve their lifestyle at all. Both sides are misled by the same illusion that health is something you can see. Another dangerous effect of this mindset is that people delay medical checkups. They think tests are only necessary for people who look sick or overweight.
So they avoid blood tests, liver scans, or heart checkups, assuming they don't need them. By the time symptoms appear, the problem is often already advanced. Many people only discover high blood sugar, fatty liver, or high blood pressure by accident during routine tests or after a health scare. Until that moment, the mirror had convinced them they were fine. The human body is very good at adapting and hiding problems, especially in the early stages. It doesn't always give loud warnings. Internal fat, hormone imbalance, and metabolic issues can exist quietly for years without obvious symptoms. During this time, a person may feel normal and look normal, which reinforces the belief that nothing is wrong. But underneath, damage continues slowly and steadily. True health awareness begins when you stop trusting the mirror as your main judge. It begins when you understand that health is about what your body is doing, not how it looks. It means paying attention to energy levels, digestion, sleep quality, stress response, and regular medical indicators. It means understanding that being slim is not a shield, and being overweight is not an automatic sentence. It means respecting the complexity of the human body instead of reducing health to a single visual standard. When people finally realize that health is not visible, their mindset changes. They stop chasing quick visual results and start focusing on habits that support long-term well-being. They move more not just to look good, but to support organ function. They eat better not just to lose weight, but to nourish their body. They manage stress not just for peace of mind, but to protect their internal systems. This shift in thinking is what separates temporary fitness from real health. Understanding that health is not what you see in the mirror is not meant to confuse people, it is meant to bring clarity. It reminds us that our bodies deserve care, even when they look fine. It encourages responsibility instead of complacency. It pushes us to look deeper, beyond appearance, and to respect the silent processes that keep us alive and functioning every day.
Internal fat is not like the fat most people think of. When we imagine body fat, we usually picture soft fat under the skin that we can pinch with our fingers. That type of fat is visible and, in many cases, less harmful. Internal fat, however, is completely different. It is stored deep inside the abdomen, wrapped tightly around vital organs such as the liver, pancreas, intestines, and even close to the heart. Because it cannot be seen or touched easily, people underestimate it, but this is the most biologically dangerous type of fat in the human body. What makes internal fat especially harmful is that it is not passive. It does not just sit there as extra weight. It behaves like an active organ inside your body. It constantly releases chemicals, inflammatory substances, and hormones into the bloodstream. These substances interfere with normal body functions and slowly push the body toward disease. This is why internal fat is directly linked to metabolic disorders rather than just physical appearance. One of the most damaging effects of internal fat is its impact on insulin. Insulin is the hormone responsible for controlling blood sugar levels. Internal fat releases substances that make the body's cells resistant to insulin. When this happens, sugar stays in the blood instead of entering the cells for energy. Over time, this leads to consistently high blood sugar levels and eventually type 2 diabetes. Many people are shocked when they are diagnosed with diabetes because they never looked overweight, not realizing that internal fat had been disrupting their metabolism for years. Internal fat also heavily affects the cardiovascular system. Because it sits close to major organs and blood vessels, the inflammatory chemicals it releases directly damage the inner lining of arteries. This causes the arteries to become stiff and narrow, making it harder for blood to flow smoothly. As a result, blood pressure rises, the heart has to work harder, and the risk of heart attack and stroke increases. This process happens silently, without pain or obvious symptoms, which is why cardiovascular disease often appears suddenly. The liver is another major victim of internal fat.
Excess internal fat leads to fatty liver disease, a condition where fat builds up inside liver cells. The liver plays a critical role in detoxifying the body, regulating cholesterol, and managing energy storage. When fat accumulates in the liver, these functions start to fail. At first, there may be no symptoms at all. Later, inflammation, liver damage, and even liver failure can occur. Many people dismiss fatty liver as a minor issue, not realizing how serious it can become over time. Hormonal imbalance is another serious consequence of internal fat. The hormones released by internal fat disrupt the natural balance that regulates hunger, stress, and energy use. Leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, becomes less effective, causing people to feel hungry even after eating. Cortisol, the stress hormone, often increases, which further promotes fat storage, especially around the belly. This creates a vicious cycle where internal fat leads to hormonal disruption, and hormonal disruption leads to even more internal fat. Inflammation is one of the most dangerous hidden effects of internal fat. Chronic low-grade inflammation weakens the immune system and damages tissues throughout the body. This inflammation is linked not only to heart disease and diabetes, but also to joint problems, chronic fatigue, and even certain cancers. Because the inflammation is internal and ongoing, a person may feel tired or unwell without knowing the exact cause. Another reason internal fat is so dangerous is its proximity to vital organs. Unlike subcutaneous fat, which stays under the skin, internal fat presses against organs and interferes with their normal function. It restricts organ movement, reduces blood flow, and increases internal pressure. This constant stress on organs accelerates aging and reduces overall physical resilience. Even young people are not immune to these effects, which explains why serious health conditions are now appearing at younger ages. Internal fat also affects breathing and energy levels. As it accumulates around the abdominal organs, it pushes against the diaphragm, making breathing less efficient. This can lead to shortness of breath during simple activities and reduced stamina. At the same time, metabolic disruption caused by internal fat reduces the body's ability to convert food into usable energy, leading to constant fatigue even after adequate rest. What makes internal fat especially dangerous is how quietly it develops. There is no clear pain signal, no immediate discomfort, and no obvious external warning. A person can feel completely normal while serious damage is happening inside. This silence allows internal fat to grow unchecked for years. By the time medical tests reveal the problem, multiple systems in the body may already be affected. Internal fat does not respond well to cosmetic solutions or surface-level weight loss. Losing weight without improving lifestyle habits may reduce visible fat, but leave internal fat largely unchanged. This is why some people lose weight but still struggle with high blood sugar, poor cholesterol levels, or fatigue. The danger remains because the root problem has not been addressed. Understanding that internal fat is active and dangerous changes the entire perspective on health. It shifts the focus from how the body looks to how it functions. It forces a deeper awareness of daily habits, stress levels, movement, and nutrition quality. Internal fat is not just extra weight, it is a powerful driver of disease that operates silently within the body, influencing nearly every major system and slowly determining long-term health outcomes.
One of the most dangerous things about internal fat is that it does not announce its presence. It does not come with loud warning signs or sharp pain that forces you to take action. It grows quietly, slowly, and patiently inside the body while life goes on as usual. A person wakes up, goes to work, eats meals, laughs, sleeps, and repeats the routine every day without realizing that something harmful is building up inside. This silence is exactly what makes internal fat far more dangerous than visible fat. Most people associate illness with discomfort. They believe that if something is wrong, the body will clearly signal it through pain, weakness, or obvious symptoms.
But the human body is extremely good at adapting and compensating, especially in the early stages of disease. Internal fat takes full advantage of this ability. It can increase steadily without affecting daily functioning in a way that feels alarming. As long as a person can perform daily tasks, they assume everything is fine. Internal fat does not cause immediate pain because it is stored deep inside the abdominal cavity, around organs that do not have pain receptors in the same way muscles or skin do. Fat accumulating around the liver, pancreas, or intestines does not hurt at first. There is no sharp signal telling the brain that something is wrong. This allows the problem to remain hidden for years, sometimes even decades. Another reason internal fat goes unnoticed is that it does not always change body weight dramatically. A person's weight may stay stable or even appear normal according to charts and scales. Clothes may fit the same way. Friends and family may comment that the person looks fine or even fit. These external validations reinforce the idea that there is no problem, making it even less likely that the person will investigate further. The body often shows very subtle signs in the early stages, but these signs are easy to ignore or explain away. Feeling tired is blamed on work stress. Feeling sleepy after meals is blamed on age. Slight breathlessness is blamed on lack of fitness. Occasional indigestion is blamed on food. None of these symptoms feel serious enough to raise concern, yet they may be early signals of internal imbalance caused by growing internal fat. Medical reports often become the first real wake-up call. A routine blood test shows elevated blood sugar. A liver ultrasound unexpectedly reveals fatty liver. Blood pressure readings are consistently higher than normal. Cholesterol levels are off balance. For many people, these results come as a shock because they never felt sick. They believed health was something you could feel, and since they felt okay, they assumed they were healthy. In some cases, the first noticeable sign is not a report, but a sudden health event. A person experiences chest discomfort, dizziness, or extreme weakness and ends up in an emergency situation. Doctors then uncover underlying issues that have been developing silently for years. When people hear that phrase, "This has been building up for a long time," they are often confused because they never felt anything wrong before. The silent nature of internal fat is especially dangerous because it delays action. Humans tend to act only when discomfort becomes unavoidable. When there is no pain, no urgency is felt. Lifestyle changes are postponed. Checkups are skipped. Healthy habits are seen as optional rather than necessary. This delay gives internal fat more time to disrupt metabolic processes and damage organs. Another layer of this silence is psychological. When people don't see or feel a problem, they resist the idea that one exists. Even when someone suggests getting tests done or improving habits, the response is often dismissive. "I'm fine. I don't feel sick. I'm not overweight." These statements shut down awareness and protect unhealthy routines. Internal fat thrives in this mindset because it depends on neglect. The body also prioritizes survival over comfort. As internal fat interferes with insulin function or increases inflammation, the body adjusts by working harder. The pancreas produces more insulin. The heart pumps with more effort. The liver struggles to process fat. These compensations keep the person functioning normally on the surface, but they come at a cost. Over time, the systems become exhausted, and when they finally fail, the failure feels sudden, even though the process was long and gradual. Modern lifestyles make this silence even more dangerous. Long sitting hours, high stress, irregular eating, and poor sleep are normalized. When everyone around feels tired and stressed, feeling that way no longer feels abnormal. Internal fat blends into this environment perfectly. It grows while people accept fatigue, low energy, and poor focus as normal parts of life rather than warning signs. Age also plays a role in masking the danger. Many people attribute physical changes to aging. Slower metabolism, less energy, or mild health issues are seen as unavoidable. This belief prevents people from questioning whether something preventable is happening inside. Internal fat benefits from this acceptance because it allows progression without resistance.
Another reason internal fat remains undetected is the lack of routine preventive screening. Many people only seek medical attention when they feel unwell. Preventive tests are viewed as unnecessary expenses or sources of anxiety. Without these tests, internal fat has no reason to reveal itself. It continues to operate quietly, influencing blood chemistry and organ function without being seen. The silence of internal fat creates a dangerous gap between cause and effect. The habits that create it may have started years earlier, but the consequences appear much later. By the time results are visible, the connection between past behavior and present condition is often forgotten. This makes it harder for people to understand how deeply lifestyle choices affect internal health. What makes this silence truly alarming is that it gives a false sense of control. People believe they are in charge of their health because nothing feels wrong. They trust their perception more than objective data. Internal fat uses this trust to stay hidden, growing stronger while attention is focused elsewhere. The absence of pain does not mean the absence of damage. Internal fat slowly alters the internal environment of the body, changing how cells respond to hormones, how organs communicate, and how energy is managed. These changes are gradual and quiet, but their impact is profound. By the time the body can no longer compensate, the damage is no longer subtle, and options become more limited. Understanding that internal fat grows silently forces a shift in how health is viewed. It challenges the idea that feeling fine means being fine. It highlights the importance of awareness even when there is no discomfort. Silence in this case is not safety. It is a warning that something harmful can exist without demanding attention, waiting patiently until it reaches a point where it can no longer be ignored.
Many people believe that internal fat is only the result of eating too much food, but this belief hides the real causes. In reality, lifestyle and stress play a much bigger role than sheer quantity of food. There are people who eat large portions but remain metabolically healthier, and there are people who eat very little yet still develop dangerous levels of internal fat. This difference comes from daily habits, routine patterns, and the constant pressure the modern lifestyle puts on the body. One of the most powerful contributors to internal fat is how and when we eat, not just what we eat. Skipping meals all day and then eating a heavy dinner late at night confuses the body's natural rhythm. The body is designed to be active during the day and to slow down at night. When large amounts of food arrive at a time when the body is preparing to rest, it stores that energy instead of using it. Over time, this storage turns into internal fat, especially around the abdomen and organs. Modern life encourages irregular eating patterns. Busy schedules, work pressure, and screen time push meals later and later. Many people eat dinner while scrolling on their phones, watching videos, or working on laptops. This distracted eating further disrupts digestion and hormonal signals that control fullness and energy use. The body does not register satisfaction properly, and excess energy is quietly stored deep inside. Another major factor is prolonged sitting. The human body was not designed to sit for hours without movement, yet this has become normal. Office work, long commutes, screen entertainment, and social media keep people seated most of the day. When muscles are inactive for long periods, the body's ability to use glucose and fat efficiently decreases. Even if calorie intake is low, inactivity signals the body to store energy, leading to an increase in internal fat. Many people assume that light daily movement, such as casual walking, is enough to protect them. While walking is beneficial, it may not always be sufficient to counteract the effects of long sitting hours and metabolic slowdown. When the body rarely experiences physical challenge, it does not receive the message to burn stored fat.
Internal fat responds more to consistent movement patterns and metabolic demand than to occasional activity. Sleep timing and quality are also deeply connected to internal fat accumulation. Sleeping late, sleeping too little, or having irregular sleep schedules disrupts hormones that control hunger and fat storage. Poor sleep increases cravings for sugary and refined foods and reduces the body's ability to manage blood sugar. Over time, this hormonal imbalance encourages internal fat to grow, even if total calorie intake does not seem excessive. Stress may be the most underestimated cause of internal fat. Chronic mental stress keeps the body in a constant state of alert. When stress becomes long-term, the body releases higher levels of cortisol, a hormone designed to help in short-term emergencies. Elevated cortisol tells the body to store energy for survival, and it specifically promotes fat storage around the abdomen and organs. This response made sense in ancient times during physical danger, but in modern life, stress comes from deadlines, finances, relationships, and constant digital stimulation. What makes stress especially dangerous is that it often goes unnoticed. People become used to feeling tense, worried, or mentally overloaded. They accept stress as a normal part of life. Meanwhile, cortisol continues to influence metabolism every day, quietly shifting fat storage inward. Even people who eat healthy foods and exercise can struggle with internal fat if stress levels remain high. Emotional eating also plays a role. Stress, anxiety, and fatigue often lead people to seek comfort in food, especially sugar and refined carbohydrates. These foods provide temporary relief by triggering pleasure chemicals in the brain, but they also spike blood sugar and insulin. Repeated cycles of stress eating reinforce fat storage, particularly internal fat, without necessarily leading to visible weight gain at first. Another lifestyle factor is constant stimulation and lack of recovery. The body needs periods of calm to repair and reset. Continuous exposure to screens, notifications, noise, and information overload keeps the nervous system activated. This prevents proper recovery and maintains hormonal imbalance. Internal fat thrives in an environment where the body never truly relaxes.
Social habits also contribute. Late-night gatherings, irregular meal timing, poor sleep after social events, and frequent consumption of processed foods are often normalized. Because these habits are shared by many, they do not feel harmful. Yet their cumulative effect on metabolism and internal fat storage is significant. Many people focus intensely on calorie counting while ignoring these deeper factors. They reduce food intake but keep the same stressful, sedentary lifestyle. When results do not appear, frustration grows. The problem is not lack of discipline, but misunderstanding of how the body responds to lifestyle signals. Internal fat responds more to hormonal and metabolic cues than to simple calorie reduction. The body interprets chronic stress, poor sleep, and inactivity as signals of an unsafe environment. In response, it prioritizes energy storage and survival over fat burning. This happens even when food intake is modest. Over time, the stored energy accumulates internally, where it is most accessible for emergency use, according to the body's ancient programming. Understanding that lifestyle and stress are bigger causes than overeating shifts the focus from blame to awareness. It shows that internal fat is not a personal failure or lack of willpower. It is often the result of living in a way that constantly pushes the body into survival mode. When survival mode becomes the default state, internal fat becomes a natural outcome. This perspective also explains why quick fixes rarely work. Temporary diets or short exercise programs do not address the underlying signals driving internal fat storage. Without changing daily routines, stress management, sleep patterns, and movement habits, the body continues to receive the same messages and responds in the same way. When lifestyle patterns change, the body begins to feel safe again. Hormones start to rebalance. Metabolism becomes more flexible. Stored internal fat gradually becomes available for energy use. This process takes time and consistency, not extremes. The key lies in how the body experiences daily life, not just in how much food enters it. Recognizing the role of lifestyle and stress removes the illusion that internal fat is only about eating too much. It reveals a deeper connection between modern living and hidden health risks. Internal fat is not just a storage issue, it is a reflection of how the body is coping with constant pressure, limited movement, and lack of recovery in everyday life.